Ooh, what's up, everybody? My name is OMG WTFLOLFTWBRB. Welcome to season 2 of the Invasion here on Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. I'm not sure if we can keep calling it the Invasion though, because as I'm sure many of you guys saw from WrestleMania, if you didn't see WrestleMania, why? I'm not trying to brag, but seriously, if you haven't watched WrestleMania by this point and you're watching this video, why? But if you didn't watch WrestleMania, sorry, too long didn't watch, but the WWF won. Shane McMahon kind of won, but he also kind of forfeited himself kind of in a way. Well, we'll get to it kind of in the show here as well. So, I really don't have a whole lot I want to talk about before the show. I know you guys have been waiting a long time for us to, for not for us, I'm the only one that does this, but for me to upload this video, so let's get to it. Let's do it to it. So we do have one pre-show matchup here. It is between the Right to Censor, now being played by the Haas brothers, Charlie and Russ Haas. It was revealed on the Sunday Night Heat, the big Sunday Night Heat pre-show. I forget what we actually called it. The Sunday Night Heat huge. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like they're pretty much a Sunday Night Heat like NXT takeover kind of show, pretty much, where it wasn't just a regular episode of Heat. Like I think we extended the time for it and everything. Nonetheless, it was revealed that Steven Richards reached into his family and found his cousins, the Haas brothers, to represent the Right to Censor now, and they went over, of course, the Pimp Party is what we're calling them now, Val Venus and the Good Father. So we're just trying to get the Haas brothers here a little bit more, I guess not popularity because this is a pre-show match, but just kind of building them up a little bit here in different areas and getting them a little bit more skill behind them, I guess, as well, whatever. I don't really know the reason why you do the pre-shows all that often because it doesn't really give them popularity, but it's also kind of a way for me to just get them on the show and keep them improving and all that. It seems to work. Also keeps them from complaining. Anyway, of course, as we saw from the Sunday Night Heat show, Steven Richards and Russ Haas actually have great chemistry when being managed, or at least when Richards manages Russ. So that's actually amazing. And Russ had an in-ring performance of a 51 here, where Charlie had a 56. We borrowed some local talent for the night. Of course, we're in Georgia still, Raw at the WrestleMania, so I figured we should stay in the region. And we borrowed Johnny Swinger and Jason Blade. Johnny Swinger had an in-ring performance of a 28, which don't think is actually not too bad given his popularity. Jason Blade with a 14, which probably around where he would expect him to be. Charlie improving in his technical. That's pretty good. All right, so here we go. We're going to start off the main part of the show, so if you guys kind of want to avoid any spoilers or something, because as you know, Total Extreme Wrestling will show you guys pictures, yada, yada, yada. You can go ahead, open another tab, minimize your screen, whatever you want to do. But if you don't care, here we go. Oh, never mind. You still have an opportunity. I forgot I had an angle beforehand. One thing I shouldn't have done is I probably shouldn't have had The Undertaker featured on screen for this, because it's kind of more of a video. But whatever, that's fine. 82, solid B here. We kind of have a recap of what's going on at WrestleMania at first. Pretty much just showcasing, Edge beating Lance Storm to become the first ever North American champion. The Dudley Boys winning the WWF Tag Team titles from the Steiners. Jericho and Christian capturing the Tag Team titles in WCW in the ladder match. Taker beating Sting. Shane and Booker T beating Vince and The Rock, which almost led to WCW winning, but Shane McMahon saying, you know what, Father, I'm not about to have you go out and start another company or, do whatever you do and keep this war going on. I want to keep you under my thumb. So he gambled it all, and he ended up losing it all at the end of the day. We got a big WrestleMania recap, and then while the recap video is, kind of getting towards the end, and we know it's, WWF wins, WWF ends, we hear the lightning strikes, the screen just flashes a huge, almost like blinding bright white right into your eyes, and then I guess the crowd too, I don't know. Anyway, it's going to like a static, like it's like they lost what's the word? I don't know. I always have a hard time. I blank out on the words when I start recording. But anyway, it goes to like a little bit of a static. They lost the connection. There's the word. And static starts to fade out, and now we're in the graveyard, and you see a gravestone. The camera kind of gets all close up to the gravestone. Of course, it says it's normal, rest in peace, the RIP, and then underneath it, WCW, and it shows, October 1988 from April 2002, pretty much. And all of a sudden, you just see kind of a hand wearing like a purple glove. Maybe not the purple glove. I don't know. Maybe that's too much. But a hand comes out from the hole for the gravestone, and of course that hand belongs to the Undertaker. The Undertaker, he pulls himself out of the grave. He doesn't say anything. He's not saying anything. In fact, there's just rain, lightning. You hear the rain. It's very heavy rain, and Taker, he's not saying a damn word. He's getting out of the gravestone. He's pulling himself out. He goes over. He picks up the WCW World Championship, which of course he won from Sting, and he takes a long look at the title. And I'd imagine maybe when he's looking at the title, you kind of like hear like announcers from WCW's past kind of going over like the new world champion, Ric Flair, Sting, Vader, stuff like that. Ron Simmons, kind of just a little bit of a homage, I guess, in a way to the WCW past. And then Taker just kind of, he tosses the title into the grave, and he starts digging dirt and throwing the dirt right over the title. And the camera just kind of stays zoomed in on the WCW title as you see dirt just falling over on the title over and over again until the camera fades out when the title can't be seen anymore. So it's like the camera goes dark once the title goes dark. So again, kind of playing off on Taker's new gimmick here. He's the Reaper Rider, kind of a fusion of both the biker gimmick and the Undertaker gimmick. It's pretty much the soul, or not the soul, the demon, or whatever you want to call it, that is the Undertaker, that he got rid of to become the human that is, the American badass that was the biker Taker, is now once again inside, I guess, the body of the Undertaker, Mark Calloway, whatever you want to call him. I guess that'll be the easier way. So now it's like, once again, they're fused together. So in an essence, in a way, I guess it is the same person, but now it's, since he has the biker persona, it's fused in with the Undertaker persona as well in a way. So yeah. Anyway, Undertaker, real star in this segment. I'd imagine, he was rated on his menace, so I'd imagine definitely just kind of a menacing vibe here. Like, he's just throws the title in the dirt, buries it, walks away, maybe rides off on his bike, and that's the end of this segment. I like that. So now, if you want to minimize your screen and whatnot, this is where you want to avoid spoilers, I would say. So anyway, now's your chance, because I'm clicking next right now. So 78 solid B rating here. Once the Mania recap is over, Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler welcome us all to Monday Night Raw. They're all putting over the fact how good it feels to say that the invasion is over, the WWF has won, blah, blah, blah. And then they're interrupted by the no chance. Out comes Vince McMahon, the owner of the WWF. He's all smiles and cheers. He won the war. Vince McMahon once again reigns supreme, and he makes his way down towards the ring. Jim Ross is starting to recap, of course, the tag match from last night. How WWF almost lost it all. Vince McMahon goes down to the scissors kick from Booker T. And Vince McMahon ought to consider himself lucky that Shane McMahon was trying to think 10 steps ahead, but wasn't thinking of the now, pretty much. And his own arrogance, as JR would put it, ended up costing him everything at the end of the night, because he gambled it all by trying to, keep his father under his thumb instead of just embracing the moment at the time. And he lost it when the Undertaker beat Sting in the main event. So there was kind of some confusion there as well. And I think I've covered this before with the whole Mania thing. Why would Shane gamble, or why would Shane even make that deal? He won. But that's kind of the thing a lot of fans would ask at this time, too. Why would he even make that deal? Shane McMahon won. Why would he do it? But in the way I would try to sell it, like I've said before, is Shane McMahon, in his mind, was, as JR just said, kind of still thinking 10 steps ahead. In his mind, the war wasn't over because he grew up with his old man, and it was never really a war between WCW and WWF for Shane McMahon. Like, yeah, there was a war going on between them, but to Shane McMahon, although he was the leader of the WCW, this was more of a war between him and his father, not a war between him and WCW. Shane, while he, like I said, he's the leader of WCW, he wasn't really connected to WCW. It was all about proving to his father after his father snubbed him. Shane McMahon was supposed to be the owner or leader, whatever you want to call it, of SmackDown, or at least that's the story that I was telling. And Vince McMahon snubbed him away from him and was like, I'll take control over SmackDown because he didn't trust Shane to lead on his own. And Shane McMahon is pretty much ready to take the throne away from Vince. Vince is not ready to step down, so Shane went ahead and tried to, all right, if you're not going to step down, then I'm going to take it all from you. I'm going to go and buy WCW, and I'm going to start this war and take it under my command and show you that not only can I do this, but I can do it better than you by beating you. And in a way, Shane McMahon did that. He beat Vince McMahon, but in Shane's head, he hadn't beat Vince McMahon yet because Vince is a free agent. Once the WWF closes its doors, Vince is free to go and do whatever he wants to do. And Vince is a name brand guy. It's not like, you don't know who Vince McMahon is. He's going to go off. He's going to go create a different company, whether he wants to venture off and do some bodybuilding or competitions, or go off and make another football company, or, in Shane McMahon's sphere, create his own wrestling company again, and because he's such a recognizable name, be able to get that backing and investors to actually fund a wrestling company and hire some of these WWF guys that Shane McMahon's not going to keep around and yada, 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 keep the war going on. So Shane McMahon keeps Vince under his contract and under his thumb. Vince has to work for Shane McMahon legally, unless he just wants to sit his contract out and get paid, which at that point, as long as he's not a worry, I don't think Shane McMahon would care. And, yeah. Kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I'm kind of putting myself in the mind of where I think Shane McMahon would be at this point. And at his point, he's still thinking 10 steps ahead. He wants to beat his father, and it doesn't matter to him whether it's WCW or WWF. He just wants to prove that I can do it, and I can do it better than you. So anyway, went on a little bit of a tangent there. My apologies. So they're recapping the tag match, whatever, and then once in the ring, Vince McMahon, he goes to take the mic. I'm going to take a drink, even though it's of some Monster here. Not sponsored, should be sponsored. And it's not really going to hydrate me, but I'm going to take it anyway. Because Vince McMahon's voice kills me. So here we go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to WWF Monday Night Raw. And I'd like to add extra emphasis to the WWF portion of that greatly. Or greeting, excuse me. I did the excuse me in Vince's voice. Because last night, the show of shows, WrestleMania 18, my son Shane McMahon and his band of WCW invaders put it all on the line. As did I did myself in the WWF. The only difference is that at the end of the night, it was the WWF who stood as the victor, as always. Vincent Kennedy McMahon does not lose. So it's now at this time that I would like to call my son Shane down here and let him say his final words to you people. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my son, the loser, Shane McMahon. And that's when Shane's music starts to play, and he's about to come out before Vince McMahon starts going off. No, turn that crap off. Hold on. There we go. Shane lost. Therefore, he does not work here. Therefore, he does not have entrance music. So, one last time, but this time with no noise, so please be quiet. Don't feed into his ego. My son, the loser, Shane McMahon. And then no music plays. Of course, I'd imagine the fans make some noise because, well, they're not going to listen to Vince McMahon. So maybe they're making, boos, cheers, whatever you want to say. Out comes Shane McMahon with no music. And Vince McMahon now over the mic as well. Probably kind of trying to lead the fans on to boo as well. Takes the mic. He's all boo, boo. Booing Shane McMahon himself. And then once Shane gets in the ring, Vince continues on. All right, Shane, you put up a good fight, but you lost. So here's the mic. Say what you got to say, and then get out. Oh, and make it quick too. I'm gonna take a quick drink here. I think I did pretty good for that Vince McMahon one. Normally it kills my throat a lot more. So Shane goes to take the mic, and he says, "Thanks, Vince. You know, sure. You know how." Oh, I messed that up entirely. "Thanks, Vince. You sure know how to make a guy feel welcomed. Look, you can try to bastardize me all you want, but I'm not out here to apologize for what I've done, because if given the chance, I'd do it again. All my life, you trained and prepared me for the time that I would take over the WWF, just to continue to wave the keys to the car in front of my face. And never let me take it out for a drive. SmackDown was supposed to be my baby, but you took that from me. So I took from you the one things you've always wanted. Your enemy's head on a platter. But instead of beheading your enemy, I befriended them. I led them to a war that we won. Sure, at the end of the night, the WWF stood tall, but that was because of my doing. And let the record show that before I placed one more bet, you, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, had lost the war. You lost many of the battles from King of the Ring to War Games and the Royal Rumble. And yeah, some may think what I did was stupid, and some may think what I did was arrogant, but I still stand by my decision. Because I know you. It's like you said, the great Vincent Kennedy McMahon never loses. You would have found the way to resurrect yourself and keep on fighting, unless you became my pawn. So was it a mistake? Maybe. But given the opportunity, it's a chance I'd take every damn time." And, Shane explaining pretty much what I said a little bit before there, standing up for himself. Vince, not amused, maybe gives a big yawn in the mic before going, "Okay, you done?" "Yeah, I'm done." "Oh, good. All right, Shane. Well, it's my pleasure to say." Oh, God, that actually made it worse, I think. "Shane McMahon, you're far." And then that's when you hear that do 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 do. You hear that cheesy poppy Linda McMahon music go off, and out comes the wife of Linda McMahon, and more importantly, I guess, owner of the WWF, because if you look at the game, it says she's the owner, not me. But more importantly, she's kind of a part of the board. I wouldn't say she's the head of the board. Maybe I would say she's the head of the board. I mean, she's a McMahon, and she's not Vince McMahon. So, yeah, I'd say that Linda McMahon is the head of the board. But either way, she represents the board of the WWE, who are pretty much Vince McMahon's boss. So out she comes out, and she interrupts Vince McMahon, and she says, in the most robotic voice that I could possibly come up with, "I'm sorry to interrupt you, Vince, but Shane's termination is not up to you." "What do you mean it's not up to me? I own the company, don't I?" "Yes. While you may be the owner of the WWF, that still doesn't mean you don't have your own bosses in the form of the board. As you are well aware, the WWE is..." Oh my gosh, I'm starting to break out. This Linda McMahon voice is actually kind of killing me out of all my voices. Not in the way of hurting my... whatever, anyway. "The WWE is a publicly traded company in the stock exchange, and the board is only looking out for the best interests for the WWF." I've noticed I kept saying WWE there, by the way. My apologies. "Okay, so what does that have to do with anything?" "Meaning that the board is overruling your termination of Shane McMahon." You can't do that." "We can, and we are doing it. We're also doing something else. You see, Vince, the board feels that competition is what is best for the WWF, and fear that without competition, that we will end up in the same fate as the WCW and ECW once did. Which is why the board has decided to keep WCW around." "What?" "But now under the same umbrella as the WWF. Under a brand new name of the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment." We will have a brand split coming this Thursday night on Nitro. Nitro! Yes, Nitro will represent the WCW, and Raw will represent the WWE, with all the current WWF champions staying on Raw, and vice versa for the WCW champions on Nitro. Which leads me to tonight's main event, which will see the WWE's Intercontinental Champion Kane team with the WWE Tag Team Champions, the Dudley Boys, to face the WCW's North American Champion Edge and their Tag Team Champions Chris Jericho and Christian. Now wait just a damn minute! No, we've wasted enough of these people's time with business talk. This is not a negotiable. This is non-negotiable, unless you would like to be removed, Vince. I didn't think so. So enjoy the show, everyone. And there you have it. It's been long gossiped. I don't know if gossip's the right word, but it's been long talked about by a lot of you. Some of you have been questioning me. Are we doing a brand split? Hey, now that WrestleMania's over, you have a ton of superstars. You could totally do a brand split. And yes, we are doing a brand split. It is happening. No longer will this be known as the Invasion. That was Season 1. Season 2 is the brand split, pretty much. And the crazy thing coming out of this is no, SmackDown's not returning. We're not doing a return of SmackDown. No, ECW's not being revived as the second brand. WCW is sticking around because the board, which WWF went into the stock exchange before this happened. I looked it up. I don't remember the time. I should have kept the time on there. But they were in the stock thing, and I don't know. I'm a horrible business person. I don't know anything about stocking. But if my knowledge is correct, I believe that means like Vince McMahon has other people to answer to, and well, he can't just be all willy-nilly, well, I'm gonna fire this person, when Shane McMahon is such a kind of I don't know what his position would be, but he's like such an executive position in the WWF. So too long, you didn't want to watch. I might even, I won't, never mind. I was going to say I might even put a link in there that you guys can skip the whole promo. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I probably won't do that. So I'm pretty lazy. But anyway, Linda McMahon drops the bombshell. WCW is sticking around, and not only is WCW sticking around, but they are going to be sticking around under the same umbrella as the WWF. Now they will be known as the WWE, and we will have two different brands, Raw and Nitro, and that brand split will be happening this Thursday on the very first Nitro under the WWE umbrella. It still keeps with the WCW name, I guess, along with, I wouldn't say WWF is going to be the WWF name, but probably going to inherit the WWE name. But yeah, there we go. You know me, I like to try to keep to a little bit of history, stick to a little bit of the same things that happened in history while also trying to rewrite it in my own ways. So that's we're going to make that official. I think I can do it in here, but if not, it's really not that big of a deal. Real quick, before we do keep moving on, I do have a couple of incidents here, I guess. So Evan Courageous and Lash LaRoe, I believe his name is they were unhappy with us. A lot of contracts were coming up. They were two of them. They're on our developmental, but they were unhappy working with us, so they will not be re-signing contracts with us, and they will be moving on, despite that I was willing to re-sign both of them. Evan more than Lash, but I was willing to give Lash like a little bit of a deal. I went ahead and edited The Rock a little bit. I made him a movie star because around this time he was starring in like the Scorpion Kings and stuff like that. He was starting to become a little bit more of a movie star. So I figured it would kind of be fair to make him a movie star and, you know, implement a little bit more like historical accuracy here as well. And we made Rock a movie star. So that could happen and most likely will happen at some point. Should I make Hulk Hogan a movie star as well? I think Hogan really, at this time, not really. But then again, if an offer came his way, he might have. And also, before the show, Scott Hall showed up so drunk that he had to be sent home. It wasn't going to happen. I thought about sending him to rehab. I should have sent him to rehab because my idea was I'll send him to rehab after the show. But he was so drunk we had to send him home, so I couldn't still use him on the show. So I could have sent him to rehab right there and then. But we did go ahead and find him for now. After Monday Night Raw, I'm going to do a huge drug test on everybody on the roster before the brand split, and those who are on some soft drugs will probably just get fined people who I can send to rehab are going to be sent to rehab, and hard drug. I mean, if I can't send them to rehab, steroids I'll probably find as well, because we most likely have a lot of people using steroids, and while it's not justifiable, I'm not about to lose my entire roster because I was like, oh, sorry, you're on steroids. Especially a lot of my main eventers, so I might let that go. But if you can be sent to rehab for like hard drugs or even like alcohol, I'm sending ass to rehab. I'm trying to fix most of my roster here, so we're gonna do a huge drug test after the show, a huge one. This video is probably gonna run on a little long, by the way. I haven't even gotten past to our first match or anything. All right, moving on. We heard the big news. We move on to a 70C plus backstage in our normally dimly lit locker room area, whatever you want to call it. We got members of the flock. There's no Vampiro, no Raven. It's mostly just Daphne and Bossman and Saturn, as you see here. And Daphne, she's pacing back and forth, maybe kind of like ripping at her hair. She's kind of talking to herself, you know. She lost her precious, kind of like Smeagol. Maybe not lost her precious, but it's kind of like her baby. Like my baby, someone took my baby, you know. Like she lost her child pretty much, being the women's championship, and she's just all of a sudden just begins to just let out a ear-piercing scream, and then finally Bossman goes, Daff, why are you screaming? And then Daphne says, I scream when I'm upset, I scream when I'm happy, I'll scream when I rip each strand of hair out of Trish Stratus's big head, and then I will take back my baby. A mother is lost without her baby. What are you two looking at? Let's go get my baby. And then Daphne goes to rush out of the locker room. And then that's when we see Perry Saturn. He's kind of got a bit of a worried look on his face, and probably lets out a kind of a gulp while Bossman just kind of awkwardly looks over at Perry Saturn, and Bossman goes, crazy. And then Saturn goes, yeah, can I talk to you real quick, boss? What's up, man? You know, I don't know how much of this undercover stuff I can take anymore. I know you needed my help with, you know, the history of me and Raven. I used to be in the flock, but don't you think we're in too deep right now? And then Bossman kind of gives Perry Saturn a look, and he goes, looks around, makes sure, you know, no one's listening, and he says, keep your voice down, man. We can't stop yet, Perry. We're so close to busting this cult. Just hang in there a little longer, partner. I won't let you fall back in. And then you can hear Daphne screaming for Perry Saturn and Bossman in the background, and Bossman kind of looks over and he says, we best get going. And he rushes off, and camera pans over to Perry. He just kind of lets off a gulp, and he's like, okay. And he lets off. Oh, apparently Raven was there. Raven was not there. Ignore that. I should take Raven off of Daphne. Anyway, this reveals kind of I don't want to say a big angle, but a little bit of a developing angle here. Bossman and Perry Saturn are not loyal to the flock whatsoever. In fact, they're undercover cops. Or Bossman is an undercover cop. Perry Saturn is kind of just his partner right now, working with him because he has history with the flock in the past. It's a random idea I came up with not too long ago that I was like, you know what? It's just so crazy that I think it'll work, and I like it a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And yeah, we're going to initiate it here. Both of them are foreshadowing face turns, despite it not being their strong suit, but that really doesn't matter. I can't imagine they're going to be a push tag team. They may be like a tag team champion or something. I almost said a WWF tag team champion, but they could be WCW. I have no idea how this draft is going to turn out. And you know, but either way, they might be a tag team champion in the future, but I don't think they're going to be like the stars of the tag team division or anything. So I'm not worried about them not being the best face. But yeah, they're going to be working kind of an undercover cop angle here. We're not turning it just yet, but this is kind of the first signs of it, where they're undercover. Perry Saturn's kind of worried because he might be going back in. Like, he doesn't really want to be there because he's worried that Raven's going to influence him again. But Bossman he's like, we're so close, man. Keep in there. So I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are excited for it as well, or at least intrigued by it. Moving on, we got a 79 solid B rating here, as JR and King go ahead and show us a clip of what happened during the commercial break here. And we see Vince McMahon. He's all angrily stomping away backstage. Remember that bitch, blah, 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 stuff like that. And he walks by Lord Steven Regal, who can't help to have a smile on his face. Vince looks at him and he goes,
What the hell are you smiling about?
Well, Vince, I'm smiling because I'm happy. I'm happy that you're still getting what you deserve. And then Vince,
What I deserve? You know, Regal, I don't think that's why you're smiling. I think you're smiling because you think you've dodged the wrath of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Well, Mr. Regal, I wouldn't count yourself lucky yet, because we still got a draft to do, and I may just draft you out of spite. But you know, Mr. Regal, the draft isn't until this Thursday on Nitro. And as far as I'm concerned, you're still under contract with the WWF. Or excuse me, WWE. So maybe you won't have to wait. Maybe tonight you'll get what you deserve, Mr. Regal. Because tonight you've got a match. And your match is against me.
And Vince storms off in the classic Vince walk while Regal just kind of like sits there, not really worried or excited, just kind of like in disbelief. Like, did he really just put me in a match against him? So that's gonna happen later tonight. Vince McMahon looking to get revenge on the man who betrayed him, stabbed him in I can't speak. Stabbed him in the back. Lord Steven Regal. I'm gonna move this a bit. We see too much of WCW. We need to see some of the WWF. There we go. Now we can see Rock and the Undertaker more, because it mattered so much, right? But yeah, match happening tonight between Vince McMahon and Lord Regal. A bit of a grudge match. No DQ, most likely. I didn't put that in there, but I'd imagine it. Are we getting ready for a match here, or... I thought I pressed next. I guess not. There we go. I was like, did I not do it again? So we get our first match of the night. Nothing really special here. It's probably a match. Actually, you know what? We've never seen this match before, because I did a check, and I was surprised to see that maybe we saw it in 2001. I almost said 2018. In 2001, but to my knowledge, this match has never happened, which really surprised me. We've seen the Flock in TNA fight, but I don't think we've ever seen these specific 6 fight before. Nonetheless, 75 B- rating here, and a decent matchup here. The new women's champion, Trish Stratus, and Testin Albert, of course, go over the Flock, that being Bossman, Perry Saturn, and Daphne here, in 6 minutes, 44 seconds after Trish Stratus defeats Daphne with the Stratus faction. So kind of a throwaway match here, you know, showcasing that, yeah, Trish Stratus still got the title. Her and Daphne are most likely going to continue on feuding over the women's championship, and still kind of progressing maybe the overlaying storyline of Bossman and Saturn kind of being undercover agents, while also playing off the storyline that maybe Test and Albert are a little bit at odds here, because Albert and Trish may be getting a little close, maybe a little bit more flirtatious or something, and Test has obviously had the hots for Trish in the past, so maybe getting a little jealous as well. Apparently Raven out there again. I'd still like to imagine Raven's not out there. I got to remember to take him off. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. Take Raven off Flock members. I think maybe it's only Daphne, but he could be managing others too. So ignore that. Trish Stratus had an in-ring performance of a 69. Damn impressive. In fact, she outperformed both Perry Saturn and Bossman. Albert with an 82 in-ring performance. He was the best of everybody. Test with an 80. Daphne with a 56, the worst of everybody, but gave her a little bit of slack. Perry Saturn with a 67, and Bossman is the worst of, in my opinion, everybody, because in Daphne being a female wrestler, I feel TEW rates the females a little lower, with the exception of Trish Stratus, I guess, here. So, Bossman, in my opinion, the worst, but Bossman also probably a bit declining as well, so. Albert's improving in his Rumble and his technical, still making improvements. Albert is promising. We then go on to an 86 B+ rating. Backstage, Ron Simmons and the Giant are at the old APA hangout. They're playing poker, drinking beer. I'd imagine maybe the APA door is still kind of like hanging off or something. Because remember, Bradshaw and Ron had a brawl in there a little bit a while ago. And they're just kind of reminiscing. They're WWF guys still, because they were under contract with the WWF before, WCW, before they, jumped ship, I should say, over to WCW. So they're still technically under contract with WWF, but they're kind of, WCW guys. So they really only have each other that they can trust at this moment. So that's why they're hanging out with each other. And Simmons, they're just like I said, they're just back there playing poker and beer and drinking beer. And Ron Simmons starts it off. Damn, lost again. You sure you ain't cheating? Giant's not saying a word. Giant's mostly risk rated on Menace here, and he's just sitting there shaking his head pretty much. Yeah, whatever. Hey, you hear what Regal got himself into? He's gonna be taking on Vinnie Mac himself. Ha! Man, I'm just surprised we haven't ran into any trouble yet. And speaking of trouble, that's when Bradshaw, Ron Simmons' old running partner, walks in and he goes, "Hey, Ron, spoke too soon. What the hell do you want? You come here to play some poker, or you just looking to get your ass kicked?" And then that's when Bradshaw looks at Ron and goes, "That last one, but not here." That was Ron Simmons, but not here. So don't bother getting up, boys. How's about you two get off your drunk asses and stumble your way to the ring, and I'll go find me a partner. And us WWF guys will give you WCW guys just one more ass beating before we could all become WWE guys. That's when Ron Simmons stands up, kind of gets into Bradshaw's face. If it's an ass beating you want, he finishes his beer, then it's an ass beating you'll get. He throws the can down maybe, and him and Giant kind of walk off while Bradshaw just kind of stands there. Camera maybe pans off, whatever. Crowd was hotter, or hot. Oh no, the crowd got hotter for this, whatever. Giant, real star in this segment. Of course he was. He was rated on Menace. And we then move on to an 81 solid B rating as we get a meeting between one of the teams we'll see in tonight's main event. I don't think I mentioned this in that angle, by the way, but in tonight's main event between Kane and the Dudleys and Edge and Vitamin C, whoever wins that main event will get the first draft pick. Like, you would think WWF would get the first draft pick because they won, but that's not how it's working. Whoever wins the main event are getting the first draft pick in the draft. So I don't know if I mentioned that, but anyway. Backstage, the WCW Tag Team Champions Christian and Chris Jericho, they're talking, they're expressing their feelings about now being WCW superstars, and that is when the WCW North American Champion Edge walks in. So Jericho and Christian, they're not saying, I didn't write down anything for them to say, but they're obviously they're not happy. They're like, oh, man, I don't want to be WCW pretty much. Like, despite them being heels, they were never WCW. They never aligned themselves with WCW. They were clearly WWF guys. So they're not happy about really being on Team WCW. And then that's when Edge walks in and he goes, look, I'm not happy either. I made my name in the WWF. And it just feels dirty to say that I'm on Team WCW now. But it's not about the WWF or WCW anymore. It's about the WWE. And while Nitro and Raw may be in competition still, we're competing under the same umbrella. And whether it's on Raw or Nitro, I plan to represent the entire North American content with pride. And then Jericho, oh, shut your damn mouth, Edge. I don't want to hear it, and neither does Christian. Christian's been listening to your blather on for years now, so just shut your damn mouth. And let the tag team experts do what they do best. And that's go out there and give Kane and those damn Dudleys their daily dose of vitamin C. Yeah, we don't need you anymore. I don't need you anymore, Edge. And while Chris and I don't want to be on WCW, at least we still get to kick your ass in the future. And then Jericho and Christian kind of laugh as they walk off, and Edge just sits there like, ugh, whatever. Moving on, 75 B- rating here. I didn't write much out here because I really don't plan for much talking. We got Ron Simmons and the Giant. They're out there ready for their fight. Out comes Bradshaw. Bradshaw doesn't go all the way down to the ring. He waits at the entryway and he just kind of stands there, maybe crosses his arms, looks all menacing or whatever Bradshaw does. And that's when Kurt Angle's music hits and out comes the former WWF, WCW World Champion himself, the only superstar, I believe. Well, now the first superstar, The Undertaker, now joins that list as well, to hold both the WWF and WCW championships at one point in their career. Taker did it at both times. So Kurt Angle joins Bradshaw, and he will be his tag team partner in this tag team matchup. Solid 82 B rating here. We have a bout that had great wrestling, good heat to it. Bradshaw and Kurt Angle going over Ron Simmons and the Giant in 9 minutes 35 seconds after Bradshaw defeats Ron Simmons with the clothesline from hell. Hell yeah. Announcing quality helped this match out. Giant with an in-ring performance of a 93. Good lord, Giant. Where was those ratings when I put you in one-on-one matches? He might be a tag team guy. I mean, he at least just a mid-card guy, because he really can't perform in main events, I feel. Ron Simmons with an in-ring performance of a 78. Kurt Angle with a 94. And Bradshaw with a 75. So Angle with the best in-ring performance, but only one below the Giant. That's impressive for the Giant, man. Like, wow. Making me rethink some things, Giant. Like, I was really like, I was kind of high on Giant for a bit. Like, he might be a guy I push pretty hard post-draft on one of the brands. And then I started giving him some, main event matches against The Rock and stuff. And he really wasn't delivering. And now all of a sudden here he is, kind of delivering. So now I'm like, what do I do with you, Giant? You're not helping me here. Ron Simmons still pretty impressive as well. Kurt Angle, of course, still always pulling it out. Bradshaw, 75. That's still really good. In fact, Bradshaw's a guy that I think is going to be at least a pretty good mid-card hand going forward in this brand split. Which is why I gave him the win, kind of like foreshadowing that Bradshaw may be getting kind of a little bit of a push here. 79 solid B rating here as we have the Click. Not the NWO, not D-Generation X, but the Click. They arrive, and they arrive in style, coming out of the limousine, dressed to impress, I'd imagine, of course, wearing some nice-looking suits or whatever. But one thing's missing here. We've got Kevin Nash, we've got Triple H, and we got Shawn. Hell, we even got Stephanie McMahon. But there's no Scott Hall. Now, of course, you guys know Scott Hall went home drunk. But no Scott Hall here, so where's Scott Hall? At least in storyline perspective, where's Scott Hall? But they're here. The Clicks arrived. 77 solid B rating as The Rock is also here tonight. In fact, The Rock making his way to the entryway. And once we come back from commercial break, we're going to hear from The Rock, the great one, the people's champion, about, the revival of the WCW pretty much. And that's when we move on to a 100 A-star rating. The Rock delivers always. Rock's music hits, and out comes the people's champion. He makes his way to the ring. He does his poses. He takes the mic, and he says, finally. Just finally. Because finally, the war between the WWF and WCW is over. Or at least, so The Rock thought. That was until Linda McMahon comes out here with her best pair of heels, along with her best suit and all her expensive jewelry, and she comes out here to announce that her and the board had a talk. And that despite Shane McMahon putting it all on the line, just to lose it all when it was all on the line, WCW is going to continue on. Because competition is best for business. Well, The Rock agrees. So since Shane McMahon hasn't been fired, and while Shane McMahon and Booker T may have beaten The Rock and Vince McMahon last night at WrestleMania, The Rock wasn't pinned, and Shane McMahon didn't do the pinning. So as far as The Rock is concerned, you still owe The Rock a one-on-one match, Shane O'Mac. So get your pompous ass out here so The Rock can snatch... Hold on. I'm not in the wrong... I was doing good there. So The Rock can snatch that silver spoon out your mouth and shove it straight up your caviar ass. So Rock laying out the challenge. Rock said, you know what, Shane? You beat me last night, but you didn't beat me. And you sure as hell didn't beat your dad either. It was Booker T. So why don't you put your money where your mouth is and let's fight and have our match finally. But instead of Shane McMahon, that's when Mark Jindrak of Power Plant, former WCW Tag Team Champion, comes out instead of Shane McMahon. But he doesn't come out with Lord Steven Regal, and he sure as hell doesn't come out with Shawn Stasiak. And before Jindrak can even say anything, Rock goes on to say, are you Shane McMahon? No, you're not. So therefore, The Rock did not call for you, so you can walk your ass to the back before The Rock kicks it. And then Mark Jindrak takes to the mic and he actually begins to talk. Mark Jindrak speaks. I don't know if this is the first time he's actually speaking, but it's the first time he's speaking to The Rock. And he goes on to take the mic and he says, I'd watch how you talk to me, Rock, because you're right. I'm not Shane McMahon. It doesn't matter who you are. The only thing that matters is that you're not Shane McMahon, and that is who The Rock asked for. Mark kind of looks around, this is kind of his I mean, it's no secret we've been pushing Mark Jindrak a little bit here. I mean, he's the Undertaker's protege. He's got a great upside right now because the Undertaker's always passing on tips to him. So things are looking up for Mark Jindrak, and this is kind of a big test for him. And even though it says he underperformed in the road agent report down here, he's still got a 100 star. And maybe Rock helped carry that, but still, he didn't ding it to the point where Rock wasn't able to carry it to a 100 star. So Jindrak is kind of having to test himself out here. He gives a look around and he goes, "You know what, Rock? It may not matter who I am, but you're about to find out who I am. I'm Mark Jindrak. I'm the guy who won the Immunity Battle Royal last night. And you know what else? I'm pissed. Pissed that now that WCW is sticking around, my guaranteed contract with this company isn't worth a damn thing. You've gone and pissed me off even more now, Rock. So you want to fight? Why not fight me?" And Mark Jindrak bringing up a good point. He did win the Immunity Battle Royal, which guaranteed a contract to whoever won it with WCW or WWF, whoever won the war. So if you were a WCW guy like Mark Jindrak was, he has a contract with the WWF, which would explain why he's here tonight. I mean, most WCW guys like Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, they're not here because they don't have contracts with the WWF. WWF won. There's no reason for them to be here. But Mark Jindrak has a contract with the WWF now because his contract was absorbed because he won this Battle Royal. But now that WCW's sticking around, that contract doesn't mean crap to him. And he has every right to be pissed. And he just laid out a challenge to The Rock, so let's see how The Rock responds. "You want to fight? You want to go one-on-one with the Great One? Well, do you? Well, you know what? The Rock's in a good mood tonight, Marky, so I'll tell you what, Buff Bagwell 2.0, just bring it." And there we go. We get ready for our matchup. It is going to be Mark Jindrak, in probably the biggest match of his career, taking on The Rock. Rock, real star. Mark Jindrak underperformed. We all know. Let's get ready for the matchup here. Match itself gets a 76 B- rating. Could have been better. I was kind of expecting maybe a solid B, but you know what? This actually might be the best they can do at this moment, given Mark Jindrak's popularity or whatnot. But still actually a very promising bout. I wonder what may have brought it down. Maybe give it some storyline? Anyway, an bout that had superb wrestling, wow, and good heat to it. The Rock goes over Mark Jindrak in 13 minutes, 18 seconds by pinfall with a rock bottom. So, B-, I'm not going to lie, a bit underwhelming. But this is saying superb wrestling and some good heat. That's pretty impressive. And Rock and Mark Jindrak have great chemistry. What really happened in this matchup? I gotta know. Rock with an in-ring performance of a 100, Mark Jindrak with an 80. I gotta know. What happened? What happened? Because, I mean, well booked? Is it timing? Cap for short match length. People, I've got to see these guys go longer. Shit. 13 minutes is short? Okay. That's the only penalty. Are you kidding me? There's literally only one penalty, and it's the fact that it was a short match. It's got to be popularity or something for Mark Jindrak as well, but I mean, you're kidding me. A 76? That match, I was robbed. That's just more proof that TEW likes to rob OMG, guys. I mean, come on. Look at the dirt sheet. The dirt sheet says it its own. Bonus for charisma, star quality, high morale, good gimmick. Mark Jindrak got bonus for his charisma, his star quality, his high morale. He's got chemistry going on for motivation, I guess. Worker chemistry, they had great chemistry as we saw. Well booked, apparently. Announcing quality, JR and King have high experience. Good announcing. Chad Patton's apparently a good referee. Johnny Ace is a good road agent. Hot crowd, what they were into this. Rock has some good momentum. Mark Jindrak, good momentum. And the one thing they're penalized for is the match length, the short match length. 13 minutes, apparently not long enough. Why did this... I'm a little peeved, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's okay, but it should have been better. And I don't know why it's not better. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. But superb wrestling. Jindrak had an 80 in-ring performance. The Rock with a 100. Great chemistry. I feel like it should have at least been I'm going to say it. I think it should have been a solid B, maybe even an 80 solid B. But whatever, let's move on. Good showing for Mark Jindrak. Things are going to look up for Mark Jindrak. That's good stuff. We move on to an 89, solid A rating here. And we've got Mick Foley and Paul Heyman. They're outside the office of Vince McMahon, and they're bickering. They're going back and forth with each other. And we overhear Heyman start talking. He says, "Look, Mick, with all due respect, there's no better option for the general manager position than Paul Heyman." "And what makes you think that? Your time running ECW? Some good that did. I've served as the Raw commissioner for years. You don't got a chance." "Yeah, well, where were you during the invasion, huh? While you played stay-at-home dad, I revived my creation and aligned it with Vince's genius. And when you combine the mind of Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Paul E. Heyman, you get the destruction of WCW." And that's when finally Vince McMahon walks out of his office and the two men begin to argue their case of why they should be the general manager of Monday Night Raw. Of course, under Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon are going to have to pick general managers to represent their company and help them in the draft. And Vince McMahon just kind of looks at him and he goes, "Shut up! I've got a match. We'll talk afterwards." And Vince begins to walk off because he's got a match with Lord Steven Regal coming up. And he's got Mick Foley and Paul Heyman flanking him from behind. So we're getting ready for that matchup here. And we lead into it. 57 C- rating here. I'm surprised they did that good. 57 C- rating in an extremely short matchup. Vince McMahon, of course, defeats Lord Steven Regal. I'm waiting for Regal to quit. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't want him to quit, but he's got like negative momentum. And, like, I always have him lose, and I feel bad. Like, if he doesn't quit, I've got to give him, like, a decent push coming up to keep him around. Because I'm just kind of waiting for him to hand in his notice any day now, which probably shouldn't have made this match. In fact, this wasn't supposed to be a match. It was supposed to be an angle at first. But it's a very heavy angle, or an angle-heavy show. So I had to make a match, and I was like, I got to bite the bullet and make it a match, god damn it. But anyway, Vince McMahon does indeed go over Lord Steven Regal in 2 minutes, 43 seconds, following a little bit of interference from both Paul Heyman and Mick Foley. So Heyman's out there distracting Regal throughout the match, but it was Mick Foley's interference which allowed Vince McMahon to hit the stunner or whatever and get the victory. Or maybe he hits him with the power of the punch himself, and he gets the victory over Lord Steven Regal here tonight. Unfortunately, of course, Regal and Vince McMahon don't click, and they make for an awkward bout. That's funny. Regal with an in-ring performance of a 68, and Vince McMahon with a surprising 58. Afterwards, we go to a 74 B- rating as the embarrassment of Regal continues. As I should have put Paul Heyman in here as well, who maybe should have been cackling with Vince McMahon as well. But anyway, Regal tastes Mr. Sacco pretty much from Mick Foley. 74 B-. We then go to a 77 solid B rating as backstage the Intercontinental Champion Kane is just standing there when he's approached by the WWF, WWF, WWE, call them what you want, tag team champions, the Dudley Boys. And that's when Bubba Ray Dudley begins to speak up and he goes, "You ready for this, Big Red Dudley? You ready to go out there and kick some WCW ass? Because I know I'm ready, and I know my brother Devon's ready. Were you born ready to kick WCW ass? We wake up in the morning, and we see anyone repping WCW in our backyard, you best believe they're getting a Dudley Boy beatdown courtesy of these damn Dudleys. So I ask you again, Big Red Dudley, are you ready?" And that's when Kane grabs both the Dudley Boys by their throats, and he kind of just lets out a scream from underneath that mask before he kind of throws them back and he walks away. And Bubba grabs his throat. He looks over at Devon and he goes, "I think he's ready." And little generic segment to get us ready for our 6-man tag team matchup, which I believe might be coming up next here soon. In fact, yes it is, because we've got Vince and Shane McMahon joining color commentary for this matchup. So Jerry Lawler, unfortunately, is going to have to take the boot because I believe for the first time, and maybe I've done this in the series once before, so maybe it's not the first time, but father and son are going to be on commentary. Kind of, I don't want to say scouting because all three of these superstars are already pretty much confirmed what brand they're going to be on because they hold championships for those brands already. But they're kind of out there pretty much gonna see who's gonna get the first draft pick pretty much while talking shit to each other. Maybe JR and King, even though King's technically not on commentary, maybe they're poking around in their head trying to get an idea of who they want to draft. Anyway, we get to our main event of the night, an 89 solid A rating. Hell yeah, you want to end the night with an A-rated match. That's freaking amazing. 89 solid A rating here, probably given the best match for a lot of these guys. And about that had great wrestling to it and good heat. Kane and the Dudley Boys, Team WWF, go over Team WCW, kind of putting that final nail in the coffin that, yep, WWF wins. You know, Vince McMahon's not going to give WCW another win. They go over the North American and Tag Team Champions Edge and Vitamin C in 14 minutes, 48 seconds after Kane defeats Edge with a choke slam. And this is all because during the match, both Chris Jericho and Chris Jericho and Christian turned on Edge, pretty much leaving the match. We're not going to team with you, Edge, blah, blah, blah. We're better than you, or we're not going to put ourselves in our bodies on the line for WCW or against the Dudley Boys and Kane of all people. You know, stuff like that, pretty much. And they left Edge to out to dry. He takes the choke slam, and 1, 2, 3, they lose. So Devon and Bubba, both with an in-ring performance of a 77. They were the worst in the match, but they are also the least popular in the match as well. So still impressive performance from the champs. Kane with an in-ring performance of an 88. Christian with a 94. Christian just kills it, my man. And Chris Jericho with a 95. Jericho and Christian put together are just, they kill it. And then, of course, Edge with an 89. So Team WCW really helping this match out a bit. Kane also did his own work here as well with that 88. And I guess the Rock Shane McMahon storyline advanced because Vince and Shane were on commentary. And hell, they did pretty good. I mean, look, they didn't ding it down. We got an 89 solid A. And there's no ding for it as well. Kane improving in his technical skills. So we even walked away with an improvement. That is not the end of the show, though, everybody. Because before we get to the end of the show, Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon, they're probably they're bickering back and forth or whatever. I don't imagine they are actually saying anything, but they're bickering back and forth. And then that's when some unfamiliar music goes off, and that's the music of the Click. Now, I don't know what the music would be or whatever, but out comes the Click, and that's Kevin Nash, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, of course. Stephanie's there with Triple H. And they all come out. Nash is really the only one talking here tonight because, I don't know. I just feel like he would be the talker of everybody here. Shawn Michaels is still kind of like relatively new in a way. So he's not really talking. He's just kind of like sitting there smiling like, I'm the hot shot. And Triple H has Stephanie, so he doesn't really need to talk. Only when he needs to, I feel. Nash is kind of like the mic for some reason to me. Anyway, Nash goes on to talk as he has both Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon out there. And there's a purpose to this. And he goes on to say, I guess I did have Triple H. But anyway, he goes on to say, look, I'm going to make this quick. Because quite frankly, we got better things to do. So first things first, Vince, congratulations on not only your win over WCW, but now your draft pick win as well. And as for you, Shane, you're going to want to hear this as well, so I recommend sticking around. Because you see, gentlemen, in this upcoming draft, while you can draft anyone you want, including the members of the Clique, I wouldn't recommend it. Because you see, even if you draft one of us, or even if you draft all of us to either Monday Night Raw or Thursday Night Nitro, that doesn't mean we're gonna be there. And that doesn't mean we won't be on the other show. Because we go where we want, when we want. And speaking of going where we want to go to the bar. So we gotta go, because the bad guy himself, Scott Hall, has reserved us a table at the best club in town. And then that's when, I guess some more static starts to appear over the screen or whatever, and a video begins to play over the screen, and that's when we see Hulk Hogan himself. And I didn't write out a script for this, as you can clearly see. I'm just going to go ahead and explain it. This is kind of my way of possibly writing off Scott Hall because, as you guys saw, and as we all knew as well, Scott Hall probably wasn't going to last very long with all his problems. He's a drunk. He's got a lot of hard drug problems and even soft drug problems. He's not a good backstage guy. We all knew what we were getting into when we hired Scott Hall, similar to like the Sandman issue. And I knew at one point it was probably going to come down to the point of me having to send him to rehab. So this is kind of my way of writing Scott Hall off and hoping that once we do the drug test that I can send his ass to rehab, or I'm sure soon enough he'll appear to where I can. But either way, we're at the club or whatever, and that's when, Hulk Hogan pretty much jumps Scott Hall in the club. He's beating him up in the club, throwing him all over the place, maybe in the dance floor, and just beating the hell out of him, taking chairs, throwing it at him, smashing his face up against the bar, maybe even takes the record or the disc, whatever you want to call it, off the record player and smashes it over Scott Hall's head. He's just beating the hell out of Scott Hall until he just kind of leaves Scott Hall there in a bloody mess, and he walks off because, he's Hulk Hogan, and he ain't going to take no one stabbing him in the back, brother. So, there you go. Hulk Hogan gets a little bit of revenge for the NWO turning on him and joining the EX, thus forming the Clique, and it also kind of helps write off Scott Hall. Triple H apparently, like I said, was talking, even though I don't have him down here to say anything, so okay. Apparently he was really good without a script, and he had the crowd in the palm of his hand the entire time. Awesome. And Jerry Lawler pretty much weak, we all know that. Shane McMahon was apparently good just standing there. Triple H came out excellent. Hulk Hogan was good. All in all, good stuff, guys. Good stuff. So let's go ahead and end off the show. And what do we get for the first show of Season 2? We get ourselves a damn 92 solid A, increasing our popularity in 16 regions. All hell yeah. Good stuff all around there. And you know what? That was a damn good show. I like the way it was structured. I like the way it was laid out and built up to a lot of things and kind of gave you a preview of what's to come. And, yeah. But we do have one more thing, even though we have been going on for a little while. Let's go ahead and enter the Twilight Zone real quick while this loads. Holy shit, we've been recording for over an hour. Thank you all for you who have stuck around this long. I don't know why you guys stick around for these long-ass videos. Then again, here I am watching Berlizzi videos that are almost 2 hours long, so... Long videos seem to be the thing nowadays. I'm just surprised I can be that entertaining. I'm not going to look at any of that stuff because, like I said, we have been going on for a little while here. What I am going to do is I'm going to do the drug test. Let's go ahead and do it. Maybe I should do some hires first, but nah. We're going to go ahead and do the drug test. I don't care. Those hires, they'll deal with it anyway. They're probably just, renegotiate people anyway. Where do I need to go for that again? Backstage, I think? No. You guys are screaming at your screens. Just go here, OMG. That's all you gotta do. Oh, it's medical, I think. It's medical. Drug testing. Yep, boom. Of course, we can't drug test these two, but... Let's do it. We are... Okay, let's not trust drug tests for soft drugs or for steroids. Unfortunately, we can't. What is this? Oh, no. Keep it low level. I'm sorry. But we can't test for all. But oh, look, that's just testing for that. No, that's fine. You can test for that. I guess we'll just do a comprehensive test all. Let's do it. Ready? Here we go. This is either going to be a huge mistake or we'll be surprised. The testing will cost $5,000 for all? Really? Oh, per worker. Okay. Yep, here we go. It's going to cost a lot of money. Oh boy. This may reveal something, so... I don't really want to go to my decisions screen because you guys might see something I don't want you guys to see. Well, fuck it. I promised I would show you guys, so if you see it, you guys are gonna get a little preview of something you might not want to. Okay. It's not there. We do have a couple contract negotiations, so let's go ahead and do them. They're only developmental deals, so we're giving Sin, Christopher Nowinski, and Trent Acid all contracts. So I think since there's 3 of them, we'll send them all to 3 different areas. Sin, I don't know why. I feel like you're more of an NWA guy. Nowinski, definitely going to be OVW, I feel. Get that out of my face. No one wants to see YouTube. Trent Acid, I guess you're going to go. Yep, I feel that's definitely. You guys all fit where I want you to go. So Sin, what? No. NWA, complete contract. Christopher Nowinski, OVW, complete the contract. And Trent Acid can go to HWA. Alright, guys. Here comes the crazy part. I know we've been going for a while. Who is going to be in trouble? First, we've got Kip James. Kip James has been identified as a steroid user. Well, we can't send him to rehab or anything, so we're just gonna fine him. Apparently his behavior has improved. He's happy. Okay. Oh no, not Book. Oh gosh, Booker, please don't be bad. Okay, Booker T has been identified as a steroid person. Oh, that's okay. Booker T has improved his behavior. Good. He's happy. Okay, so far so good. Not the young Charlie Haas. Okay, steroids. Charlie is unhappy. Well, so is Russ Haas. Well, maybe. Oh boy. Here's the guy I had a feeling was going to appear. What are you doing, Chris? Oh no! Chris Benoit? Ugh. Chris Benoit has been identified as a hard drug user by the WWF drug policy. I'm sorry, Chris. And he's a big person. In fact, we drug tested him a while back because, I've been lenient on you, Chris, and I really haven't. I should fire you. I should. That's your 3rd strike. But I'm going to send you to rehab. His behavior has improved. Chris Benoit is very happy. Okay. But god damn it, Chris. No. Jericho and Christian? Dude, you guys are my tag team champions. You better not be on something. Alright, Jericho's steroids. That's going to be a fine. And Christian is steroids. Again, another fine. Christian's unhappy. Rhino's unhappy. Edge is unhappy. Sucks for all of you. Don't do steroids. Chuck Palumbo. Steroids. Oh boy, the homie Edge. He's a steroid user. Get that fine. Funaki? What are you doing, Funaki? Steroids? It doesn't show. Take this fine. Ooh, Funaki's behavior improved. And he's happy. Okay. Goldberg? Steroids. What a surprise. Grandmaster Sexay? Steroids. Okay. And his behavior's improved. He's happy. Okay, hell yeah. Bob Holly. Steroid user. It's not a surprise. Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, I don't really care. Just give him a slap on the wrist. just don't get caught, I guess. Oh boy, Chris Canyon. Oh no, not Kevin Nash. Are we gonna have to take out another member of the clique? Okay, no, he's just taking them steroids. Apparently he's unhappy with it though. Everyone's gonna be unhappy. Come on, man. Why you gotta take out Kev like that? Well, tell Kev to stop taking steroids. Is Scott Hall not on this list? Okay, I was about to say. Marky boy, please don't. Steroids. Come on, guys. If you take the roids, you're gonna have to pay. Perry Saturn, look, he knows. Okay, I'll get off him. Raven, if it's soft drugs, just don't get caught. Oh, great. No, that's great. Yeah. No, Raven, no, fuck you. Next time I might send you to rehab, you asshole. You tell me to get off the weed.
Well, Ray, get off the freaking steroids. Sabu's happy. Yeah, that's right. Fuck Rey Mysterio. You injured him, Sabu. You have no right to be mad. Oh, great. Okay, Rhino's not upset. Damn, dude. Just everybody's taking steroids. I don't care, Rick. I don't care.